Yamunatira vanachari Yamunatira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari I'll take the book anyway. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Pracha Janaranjana Yashodanandana Pracha Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavallabha Girivaradhari Shodanandana Prachanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jannavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Pracha Janaranjana Yamunatira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Vishnu Padmamaham Sarvavichakarachayastatavasarvesvaram Krishi Shimadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Brahmananda Hari Bol. So let's read some Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, some nectar about Srila Prabhupada. Let's find the verse, the page. All right. The chapter is Around the World but Absorbed in Bombay. And we continue. Prabhupada was preparing to return soon to India via a western route, and he paid another visit to his Western World headquarters in Los Angeles. On the very day he arrived, however, he wrote more directions to the devotees in Bombay, reassuring them that the Julu land was not just a trouble spot, but a special place where a great plan would be carried out. It was worth fighting for. It's a bit funny, Prabhu, to hear myself in an echo. If you could. Now I'm anxious to hear if the conveyance deed has been signed and what are the contents. Kindly send me the copy duly signed as quickly as possible. This will give me great relief. As soon as the conveyance has been signed, you may begin the building work immediately. I'm coming to India soon, at least by October, and I want to see that the building projects in Bombay, Mayapur, and Vrindavan are going on nicely. This Bombay project is one of our most important projects in the whole world, and I'm looking to you and the others there in Bombay to see that it is done very magnificently. Prabhupada's secretary had recently shown him a new advertisement booklet printed by Air India, in which the art theme was exclusively dedicated to Krishna and Vrindavan. Prabhupada was encouraged to see that Air India was enticing tourists to come to India to experience Krishna culture. This confirmed his idea that in the future, Hare Krishna Land and his other Indian projects would be important showpieces for tourists wanting to experience real Vedic culture. Mail from Bombay always received first priority, and every morning Prabhupada would ask for news from Bombay, giving any letters from Giriraj immediate attention. Early in October, he received a long letter from Giriraj. We just cannot control the material nature, and although everything is going on slow, Miss Morarji, Mr. Munim, the bank, and Mr. N all feel that they are proceeding as quickly as possible, and they do not respond very favorably to being reminded by me of the urgency of the matter and of your anxiety that it be finished. Nothing new had developed. The deed still had not been signed. Although Giriraj said he now had no intentions of resigning his post, Prabhupada, after studying the letter, concluded that other senior devotees in India should also help. He therefore wrote to Tamal Krishna Goswami and Bhavananda, both in Vrindavan, asking them to go immediately to Bombay and try to expedite the conveyance. Prabhupada was asking Tamal Krishna Goswami to revive his active status as manager in India. Giriraj is finding difficulty. From his letter I can understand. So I think you have to revive your position as GBC again and look after all the business of India affairs nicely. Prabhupada also wrote Giriraj informing him that other devotees were coming to help and reminding him to also work with the board of trustees. I cannot tax my brain so much from such distant places as to what to do if there is any difficulty. Therefore, I am relying completely on you, my trusted senior disciples, to finish up these things nicely. Prabhupada repeatedly instructed the managers in Bombay not to deviate from the terms of the purchase agreement. He was willing, as a matter of concession, to pay the 5 lakhs to be deducted from the total price, but no more changes. The devotees should press Mr. N to the original agreement. Prabhupada was worried that he had not heard from his lawyer, Mr. D, 2 weeks before. He had telegrammed both Mr. N and Mr. D, asking for reports on the delays, but he had received no replies from either of them. He had since written to another lawyer, a friend in Bombay, asking about the delay. And in Los Angeles, he received the reply, Mr. D was no longer his attorney. A couple of days after receiving this shocking news, Prabhupada received a formal letter from the office of Mr. D informing him of the same. Of all the recent news from Bombay, this was the most disturbing. Prabhupada began to see how Mr. N had been devising a devious plot from the beginning. It was not just a matter of slowness and bureaucratic delay. Mr. D had been in league with Mr. N. They were cheaters. So now it was going to be a real fight. ISKCON would have to go to court and file criminal charges against Mr. N. There was no avoiding the fight, but Prabhupada still felt that his position was legally very strong. Before leaving Los Angeles, Prabhupada thought of a further tactic. He wrote to Giriraj that he should put a notice in the newspapers advising the public that ISKCON had signed an agreement for purchasing Mr. N's land at Juhu. He then traveled to Berkeley. October 6th, during his brief visit to Berkeley, Prabhupada met with a group of professors from the University of California and also installed Radha Krishna deities in the Berkeley temple. But still, he was meditating on Bombay. He wrote to Tamal Krishna Goswami, the Bombay delay has been muddled by the tactics of Mr. N and Mr. D. Giriraj is in trouble. He is a child in these worldly dealings, so immediately go to help him. But you must be careful to pay the money in the court register's office and not in the hand of Mr. N or his solicitor. Settle up the things properly, otherwise let us go to the court for specific action, either civic or criminal, against the tactics of Mr. N. Prabhupada decided to send Karandara, whom he considered expert, to help in Bombay. He also wanted to send Shyama Sundar, but Shyama Sundar had gone to London regarding a large country estate George Harrison was donating. Prabhupada notified Shyama Sundar, however, that once the London transaction was completed, he should go to Bombay. Prabhupada was ready for the fight. He would not be cheated. During his return trip to India, Prabhupada again visited Hawaii. Then on October 11th, he went for the first time to Manila, where a small number of disciples had arranged preaching programs for him, both in temple and at the Hotel Intercontinental. In Manila, Prabhupada carefully considered his position regarding the Juhu property and concluded that he would come out victorious. He listed the points of his argument in a letter to Giriraj. Firstly, we have fulfilled all the conditions as purchaser. Second, Mr. N has purposefully delayed with a motive to cheat us, as he had done with some others in this connection. Thirdly, but this time he cannot cheat us because we are in possession of the land and our deity Radha Krishna is installed there. Fourthly, therefore we must immediately go to court for enforcing him to execute the conveyance immediately. Fifthly, even if the court case goes on for a long time, still our business there cannot be stopped. Sixthly, without going to the court, we cannot make any compromise with him. Seventhly, but I think we can arrange the full amount of 14 lakhs to get out this rascal again. But I think we can arrange the full amount of 14 lakhs to get out this rascal out of the scene. Eighthly, but we cannot do it without going to the court, otherwise we shall become a party for breaking the purchase agreement. Therefore, we have to go to the court before making any compromise. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 23, entitled The Shishumar Planetary System, text number 4. So it's no meter, I just read the Sanskrit once and then we do the word by word. Kechanai Taj Jyotir Anikam Shishumar Samsthanena Bhagavato Vasudevasya Yoga Dharanyayam Anuvarnayanti. Please repeat. Kechana, some yogis or learned scholars of astronomy. Etat, this. Jyoti Anikam, great wheel of planets and stars. Shishumar Samsthanena, imagine this wheel to be a Shishumar, a dolphin. Bhagavata, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudevasya, Lord Vasudev, the son of Vasudev. Krishna, oh yeah, Yoga Dharanayam, in absorption in worship. Anuvanyayanti, describe. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This great machine consisting of the stars and planets resembles the form of a Shishumar, dolphin in the water. It is sometimes considered an incarnation of Krishna, Vasudev. Great yogis meditate upon Vasudev in this form because it is actually visible. Purport: transcendentalists such as yogis whose minds cannot accommodate the form of the Lord prefer to visualize something very great, such as the Virat Purusha. Therefore, some yogis contemplate this imaginary Shishumar to be swimming in the sky the way a dolphin swims in water. They meditate upon it as the Virat Rupa, the gigantic form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnanjala Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. This great machine consisting of the stars and planets resembles the form of a Shishumar, dolphin, in the water. It is sometimes considered an incarnation of Krishna, Vasudeva. Great yogis meditate upon Vasudeva in this form because it is actually visible. So we're in the 5th canto, the description of the universe, and it's quite challenging for our minds and challenging to our material worldviews to hear about the Vedic descriptions or the descriptions of the Bhagavatam about the universe we're living in. So the chapter is entitled The Shishuma Planetary System, and just to recap, we're talking here, the Bhagavatam speaks here about the pole star, first of all, how all the planets circumambulate the pole star. It's also called the abode of Vishnu, and that's where the great devotee Dhruva Maharaj resides. And what's the word again? So the pole star is considered like the pivot around which all the other stars and planets are turning. In the previous verse, there's a comparison, for grinding grains. How bulls are yoked around the central post to thresh rice, right? And so similarly, that pivot is the pole star, and all the planetary systems go around it. And it's now compared to this picture is now compared to a dolphin swimming in the water. It's like a machine, this wheel, as it's in Sanskrit. Prabhupada translates it as machine. This machine resembles the form of a Shishumar. So that's the description here where we at in Canto 5. Now, it's a very humbling, it's very humbling, to read those descriptions. Firstly, because, well, we cannot comprehend it. It's very different from our material, so-called scientific perspectives. But even taking aside, in the past, farmers would also know at least some constellations because they had to know when to plant, what time of the year it is. Right? When I look up to the sky, I would probably recognize the pole star and maybe the Southern Cross, and that's about it. Yeah, so I don't see, when I look up, what time of the year it is or what time of the night it is. According to what time of the year it is, you can see along the stars what time of the night it is, right? So when we hear those descriptions which follow about which part of the which stars resemble which part of the body of the Shishumar, it's like I'm completely blank because I cannot comprehend it. I don't even know those stars. I cannot identify them. So, and farmers would know some of the constellations. And what to speak of learned person? And here am I pretending to be learned, or wearing a Brahmin thread and cannot even comprehend what is described here because I just don't have this basic knowledge about the stars. Just identifying simple things. Because we're so out of touch we're so dependent on technology that we forgot this knowledge, that it doesn't concern us. We can't even see the stars, so much light pollution, right? In cities, we can't even see the stars. So it's humbling. So Krishna arranged this universe in such a manner that we can remember him in so many ways. One principle of Krishna consciousness is to always remember Krishna, never forget him. So he gives us ample opportunities to do so. Yeah. If we read the description of the universe in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the conclusion is, or should be for us, that, well, seems like I'm quite insignificant in comparison to the size of the universe. I'm quite small, and Krishna is the source of everything. Aham savasya prabhava. So he is so much greater. So let me worship him, right? So that's a simple conclusion. I like to keep it simple, and I'm not going into all the details. I'm kind of, whatever I can simplify for myself, I'll simplify. And I'm just getting dizzy reading all the measurements in yojanas. I don't even understand what a yojana is. At least I can't comprehend. And then you have millions of yojanas. My God, it's just turns my head spinning, right? So, so we can, but we can see here that if a yogi meditates on that, as it's even said, imaginary form of the Lord, he takes it as the Virat Rupa, as the universal form of the Lord, and remembers Krishna in that way and meditates upon Krishna. Well, that seems to be a bona fide process, right? So we can remember Krishna in that way, looking at the size of the universe, at at his universal form, and be amazed about his greatness. And that's a bona fide way of thinking about Krishna. That will bring us on the way, or that will bring the yogi on the way to of transcendental advancement. And whatever advancement we make, that will remain with us when we leave this body, go to the next. Right? So even if we think about the universe according to scientific, to modern scientific calculations, how there are so many stars, and so many stars are so much bigger than the sun. If you compare our solar system, how small the Earth is compared to the sun. My God, the Earth fits so many times in Jupiter, and Jupiter fills the sun so many times, and then there are apparently stars which our sun can fit like hundreds and thousands of times in, right? So what are we within this universe? And we think we're so great on this planet. Our false ego is so strong that we're the controller of everything, and we try to control the world, try to control others. We think our daily business is so important, work, family, and so on. But when we step back and observe the vastness of the universe, here in the Bhagavatam talks about yojanas, and the scientists talk about light years. It's just unimaginable, and how tiny and insignificant are we, right? In this relation, and how great is Krishna. And no matter which viewpoint we meditate upon, we have to come to the conclusion that we are tiny, insignificant, and that should make us humble. That should smash our false ego a little bit. But oftentimes the opposite happens. If you know so much, we see that in scientists, they think they know so much. Explain, all the mechanisms, chemically, physically, on this planet, in outer space, in the entire universe, and they think that gives them security, that gives them some safety, that reassures them that they are in control. But that's their vision is clouded by their false ego, because there is no control, right? And when you look outside, black holes, for example, they swallow up whole galaxies slowly but steadily. We live in New Zealand. We live on a volcano. When you look at the world map, you can see this rift, it's called the Ring of Fire or so, going from New Zealand all the way up to Japan. This is where the tectonic plates meet. It's a ticking time bomb. So there is no safety, no matter how much we understand this material world. We're tiny and insignificant, and nature can very easily, defeat us in so many ways. Be it small, a little landslide somewhere. There was recently this incident on a Karen park somewhere in where was it? Mount Maunganui. Right? Some little landslide, or some big black hole, or anything in between. Some asteroid could hit So many things. Tsunamis can happen. So many disturbances, yeah, by the demigods, Adivika, can happen. And yet we think that the more we know, the more security we receive. But actually, the conclusion should be, wow, I know so much. However, I'm so tiny and insignificant. Krishna is so great. Let me take shelter, because ultimately he's the controller of everything, and I just have to accept whatever Krishna arranges. And he may arrange very nicely, or, well, at Kurukshetra he was declaring that he's time. Talking about the universal form. Time I am the great destroyer of the worlds, and I come here to kill all the people, except you, the Pandavas, and so on. So Krishna appears in so many forms. So he revealed his universal form on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to Arjuna, and Arjuna was freaking out, so to speak. He was quite shocked to see this universal form. He called it a ghastly form, with so many heads and flames coming forth from its mouth, and all the warriors assembled in Kurukshetra got smashed between the teeth of the universal form, and it was quite shocking for Arjuna to see. So devotees don't really like to see Krishna or Vasudeva, Krishna, in his universal form. Some yogis may not be able to, like it says here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that some yogis, they cannot accommodate within their mind the form of the Lord. They prefer to meditate on something big. They cannot access the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they rather, or the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they rather meditate upon something a bit bigger, vast, and so on. They can see it, so it may be easier than meditating upon the upon the super soul in the heart, the Paramatma feature of the Lord. So it may be easier if you have something. Oh wow, this is so big and I'm so tiny. But the conclusion should be, well, let me surrender. Let me submit in that way. Because who am I? I can't do anything. I have no control whatsoever. So all this meditation on the universal form, being imaginary like the Shishuma dolphin, or the Virat Rup Krishna reveals. It's a form of the Lord, but it's a temporary form as long as the universe is present. When it's dissolved, then this form is also finished, and it will come again in the next creation. Right? But the eternal form of the Lord, as Krishna or any of his incarnations, they are all eternal forms of the Lord. They remain. They are always existent. And devotees like to remember Krishna in his personal form as Krishna or Ram. They like to meditate, to remember Krishna with all his qualities and develop a relationship with him. But to get there, it takes some purification. And Krishna and Bhagavad Gita gives us so many ways how to remember him, how to meditate upon him. He gives us unlimited ways ultimately how to remember him. Rasoham apsu kaunteya. I'm the taste of water. But whenever we drink water, we can remember Krishna. But in Srila Prabhupada is even more liberal in his teachings of Queen Kunti. He translates that verse instead of "I am the taste of water," "I am the taste of liquids," because apparently apsu means liquids. And he says, well, even if you like to drink wine or liquor, Krishna says, "I am the taste of liquids." So if you drink your liquor, if you drink your wine, you can think of Krishna. This taste is Krishna, and in that way make advancement. So this is Srila Prabhupada writing in the teachings of Queen Kunti. So any liquid the taste of it is Krishna, right? So even then we can remember Krishna. And there's an example of a unfortunate devotee who, well, never got initiated and so on, because in this lifetime he won't be able to. He's been abused as a child. He's an alcoholic since he's 13, and tried a few times therapy. He came to the loft many years ago, and he knew, because he was always drunk, he couldn't go in. But he knocked, and he asked for a broom and water and a mop, so he cleaned the stairs, and we gave him prasadam. My wife and I also visited him in a rehab situation, but he never finished. He has a very heavy karma. I saw him once on the street, and he saw a devotee, and he dropped his paper cup with wine. So he remembered Krishna. Well, I shouldn't do that, Krishna, you know. And he distributed so many books as well to, you know, his alcoholic friends and so on. So, but in this lifetime he won't. But he was drinking wine, and he remembered Krishna. At least, well, I shouldn't do that, Krishna. Sorry. So some remembrance was there, you know. And I'm sure he will get, hopefully, a better opportunity in his next life to continue. Maybe he got 1-2%, whatever he got in this lifetime, he will get more in his next lifetime. So I am the taste of liquids. That's Prabhupada's liberal translation. Yeah, he also says liquid is mostly taken as water, but any liquid, also wine. So we can remember Krishna in so many ways. As the sun and the moon, yeah, of stars I am the moon. Yeah. So many ways we can remember Krishna. Ultimately, since Krishna is everything, you know, the pure devotee has the vision. He sees Krishna everywhere, right? For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So Krishna is everywhere, is everything, even though personally there is his personal form. And devotees want to see that form and meditate upon that form and serve that form, because ultimately, if we understand who Krishna is, I am small and insignificant, and Krishna is great. Well, let me serve him. You know? That's our position. That's our eternal constitutional position as service, and that's the conclusion of meditating on the Lord, on the universal form. It should make us humble. Meditating upon Krishna's personal features and his pastimes. Well, I can't do what Krishna does. Should make me humble and bring me in that position of surrender, of service. And that's the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Savadamam prityacha mamikam shravanam vachaham tvam savapapibhyo mokshayishami masuchaha. We should just surrender everything and simply, we could give up everything and simply surrender unto Krishna. And then we have no fear. Then we're free of all fears. Because if we can be quite fearful if we don't know Krishna, and we have so much knowledge about, oh right, there are black holes, asteroids, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis. The material world, there's danger at every step, right? How can we reconcile that except with ignorance, not worrying about it, or with Krishna? Because Krishna protects us. He protects our remembrance of him. He may not protect our body, but if we serve Krishna, we will remember him, and we won't have this fear again, because we're not coming back into this material world. If we remember him, if we understand his pastimes, his appearance and activities, we will not take birth in this material world again. Right? So we can meditate upon the personal form, but that's very far away. So we can hear pastimes, and we can philosophically understand there's no difference between Krishna and his pastimes, or hearing about Krishna. Krishna is actually present, but that's maybe a little bit far away for us. So he gives us the opportunity to see him as his Archa Vigraha. In the is it in the verse or in the, yeah, here. Great yogis meditate upon Vasudeva in this form because it is actually visible. So Krishna, we cannot see him because we don't have the eyes to see him. With our eyes, we can't see him. But therefore he appears as Acha Vigraha in a form which we can see. So we can remember him in that way. We can look at him, stare at him, gaze at him, and take him into our hearts. We can serve this form of the Lord in a very practical manner with all our senses. So again, another way of seeing Krishna. We can see him in his universal form as a dolphin going around the pivot of the pole star. You can see him in water, taste him in water, or in any other liquid. You can see him on the altar as Achavigraha. And meditate and serve him in that way. And Lord Chaitanya gave us the ultimate medicine for this day and age, and that is the chanting of the holy name. Krishna's right present there in his holy name. And again, how can we chant the holy name? We require humility. Trinata Pisanichana, we should be more humble than a tree, devoid of a sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So humility is required. And we become more humble, meditating on the universal form, more humble, seeing our insignificant position compared to Krishna's greatness. All that should make us humble so we can chant the holy name. And while chanting, it's not just the syllables, and then the mantra does all the work. No, how do we associate with the holy name? That's the main aspect of chanting. Guru may be there, but do we associate with Guru? If Guru visits our house, are we inviting him and serving him, or do we have better things to do? We can, in the same way, if we chant, where's our mind? Where's our, are we turning towards Krishna? Chanting japa is the quality time we spend with Krishna. Listening, hearing ourselves chant sincerely, that's an instruction of Srila Prabhupada, because that helps us being focused. That helps us, hearing the holy name may hopefully prevent our mind, for some time at least, to wander this way and that way. And we have so many more important things to think about while we chant. This is the eternal struggle of the sadhaka during sadhana bhakti, that the mind, that we are not so pure yet, that the attraction of Krishna is not so strong that we constantly be able to think of Krishna. So chanting the holy name is not such an easy thing, and it's not that the holy name does the magic all by itself. Krishna is present while we chant, and he's patiently waiting until we turn towards him. And that's the form of the Lord we can meditate upon in this age of Kali. That's the form of the holy name, Sri Harinam Prabhu. And the more humility we develop, the more we get rid of our false ego, the deeper we can actually then develop our relationship with Krishna as a form of the holy name and be able to serve him. So humility is the key. False ego is not humble. False ego is falsely proud, overconfident. And just yesterday, I got a little lesson in that. I was a little overconfident cooking for the school. I made chips in a different way, and the timing didn't work, and I was rushing. And anyway, I had one oil spill and then another oil spill. So I ended up, instead of preparing for class, cleaning the kitchen all afternoon. And then I was so exhausted that I spaced out. So Krishna, I have my plans, but Krishna has other plans. But ultimately, if we accept Krishna's plan and, accept that, well, actually I'm not so great, let's take the humble position, then we can engage in service, we can chant the holy name, we can remember the Lord, can serve the devotees, engage in devotional service. I mentioned that. And all the ways of remembering Krishna are ultimately to bring us to that point of service. And we can only serve if we're humble. Because if we're not humble, we want to be served. We think we deserve to be served. But we don't. We do not deserve to be served. We only deserve to serve. Because that's our position. And that's where all the happiness, all the bliss comes from. And in that way, we can see the evolution of different practices of meditating upon the Lord ultimately culminate in rendering service to the Lord. Universal form, the form as Achavigraha, Harinam Prabhu, all those forms of the Lord, there's an evolution which leads us then to being able to perceive, to be in communion with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not the all-pervading Paramatma, which is a partial, with a partial manifestation or partial realization of the Supreme Lord, or even the Brahman effulgence, so it's partial. But the ultimate realization is Krishna in his personal form. But it takes purification. It takes some time to be able to accept Krishna in his personal form. And the process of bhakti yoga is direct. You don't have to do all the other stages, all the meditations on the dolphin form in the sky. You don't have to meditate upon the Paramatma. We don't have to meditate upon the universal form in any way, not the Paramatma. We can simply engage in bhakti yoga, in service. And through that, that's the goal and the medicine at the same time. So the senses are engaged, the mind is engaged, intelligence is engaged, and ultimately that is so purifying that no other purificatory process is necessary to be able to perceive Krishna in his form as he is at one stage. And until then, he gives us so much help to be able to remember him. So I think I do stop here. Are there any questions, any comments, any reflections? Prabhu?
So the point we made that the universe is so vast, we're very all our activities and differences seriously rationally. So that can result in being demotivated to act. Why should I act? So how can we make that humility not demotivate us, but continue to engage?
Yeah, that's a good question. So how can the realization that we are tiny and insignificant when we look at the universe, how can we not be demotivated and stop acting altogether? That's the question. So there are two ways, always two aspects. There's any aspect. There's material and spiritual nature. If you develop, for example, the quality of helplessness, because we'll feel quite helpless when we look up and see how tiny and insignificant we are. So helplessness, any material quality is always centered around ourselves. So, oh my God, I'm so tiny. I'm so insignificant. Poor me. What should I do? It's no point in doing anything. You're just getting depressed because it's centering all around us. Right? I am the center of material perception. But Krishna, so and if I stand at the road and big road, so many lanes, and I'm a little child, and I stand there, I'll never make it to the other side. I cannot even try. Oh my God, poor me. How do I get to the other side? And the father is right next to us. But that's us, just so helpless and self-absorbed, and no point in even trying. But then there's the spiritual helplessness, where we say, okay, I'm tiny and insignificant, but Krishna is great. Let me take shelter of him. And then Krishna can guide us to the other side of the road, or the father. The child is there. Oh man, the child doesn't understand how to cross the road. He takes the hand of the father, and when with the father, they cross the road very safely. And that gives confidence. So similarly to your question, so if we realize our tiny insignificance, if we only do that on the material level, yes, we will be completely depressive and not do anything. But if we have that realization in connection with Krishna, then okay, Krishna says, do your duty, don't be attached to the result, and we develop and engage in devotional service, So, and that's where we get the taste. That's where we get real, how you say, but lasting pleasure, lasting advancement. In our relationship with Krishna deepens, and we understand that I have to act anyway. Even if I'm depressive, I'm sitting only on the couch. There's some action, even though it's very passive, and there are some reactions to that. But ultimately, if we engage then with all our energy for Krishna and his service, that motivates us, because first of all we get taste. Secondly, we help others as well engaging in service, and it's relevant because no matter if the world ends tomorrow, or in a million years, or in I don't know how many billions of years, whatever material action I perform right here, it just washed away. Once I leave the body, this body, whatever I perform is completely useless. All right? There's no meaning at all for no one. But whatever little I do in devotional service, that remains. Because ultimately, when we leave this body, the only thing we can take is our relationship with Krishna. So we may want to engage in developing that relationship with all our body, mind, and senses and heart, and that hopefully prevents us from being all sluggish and demotivated in doing something, in doing anything. Does that help a little bit? That distinction, material, spiritual, and Krishna's the center, and I'm the center. Anything else? Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tagore Premananda Haribo. Krishna.